and gentlemen, turn your speakers up. It's time for the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Turn up the bass. A podcast discussing all things AEW and WWE. Oh yeah! Let's meet the hosts. First, a man hailing from the hub city in Indiana. He goes by @TooSweetKyle on Twitter. The host, Kyle Gagliardi. And your co-host, hailing from the valley of Lake Tahoe. He goes by @JimTuck89 on Twitter. Jim Tucker. And last but not least, hailing from the cornfield somewhere in Indiana, the full-time part-timer, Ian Garavaglia. Turn up the bass. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram @PodOnTheMark.
What is going on, everyone? You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Marks, for the Marks, and I am your host, Mr. OTM, Kyle Gagliardi. And my co-host this evening is not my good friend, Jim Tucker. It is my great friend, Happy Ian. Ian, how the hell are you?
I'm genuinely happy now. I got a brand new mic that I'm debuting tonight for the 2024 season of OTM. I'm called a great friend by a guy that has never called me a good friend on a podcast. What a start to the year. I mean, come on now.
To be fair, I'm usually not rude to you on podcasts.
That's true. That's a good point.
I usually support you in your endeavors. That's why I promoted you to this full-time position. But to also be fair on my behalf, I don't think I ever called you a great friend, so you're welcome.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, I'm glad I got the promotion. We've had a hell of a start to 2024. In not just wrestling, the world, everything. 2024 is wild already. I'm here for it. And again, we're here every single week. Going to be here every single week of 2024. Most weeks, I should say, to talk about it and break it down for you guys.
That's right. Happy New Year to everybody watching live. Kind first in the chat. What's going on, Kind? Happy New Year to you. And he said, let's go, OTM. We got Kyle and the greatest of all time, the needle mover, the head of the table, Ian Garavaglia. You're now the head of the table, and I just found out, apparently.
What did I do? It's
hey, I guess you're off to a good start.
Is this a face turn? Am I turning face?
I didn't know you were heel. When did that happen?
It was the Happy Ian wearing the chains. I don't want to show off anymore. So, you know what? I think it's time it gets retired. I might actually be really happy. Let's go formal today. Hot off of work. I'm feeling good today now. This is a great start.
See, this is why you have to watch live, because you could see Ian taking off his clothing items right in front of your eyes. You know, that's the OTM special right there. But yeah, other than the new year, Ian, what's going on in your life besides probably watching wrestling like myself?
Well, if I were to break it down to you, not a whole lot different. That's just a brand new year on the end of it. Still working every single day. Coming back, looking forward to talking wrestling, and now we're talking wrestling. That's about it.
That's all it really needs to be, folks. The main reason you tune in, but, you know, other than to spend time with your great friends Kyle and Ian, is to hear what we have to say about wrestling and share what you have to say about wrestling. Dirk Vogus in the house. He said, Happy New Year to you guys. Dirk, appreciate you as always stopping by. Happy New Year's to you as well. And Happy New Yeet is what Kind actually says. That's probably the more proper way of saying things if you're a wrestling fan. But before we get into all the good stuff that we have to talk about, because there is a lot to talk about, Ian, we have to remind the listeners about the merchandise that we have to offer. It's not just OTM merch. We have Main Event Wrestling Network t-shirts and sweatshirts at the OnTheMarkWrestlingPodcast.com. And Ian, we had a couple exciting announcements to kick off 2024 for the Main Event Wrestling Network. Why don't you tell the listeners about what's going down at the network?
Yeah, a couple hot prospects got picked up by the Main Event Wrestling Network. Happened just yesterday. Actually, no, that was officially today. It came through. I was at work, looked at my phone, saw a notification. we picked up Mr. Scott Robertson, who is hot on YouTube. He's been pumping out content on YouTube, and we'll be pumping out content for the Main Event Wrestling Network on YouTube. And we also have Last Week in Wrestling Pod. They've been that's been in the works for a while. I was actually a guest on his podcast. That must have been in November. Had a great time. Yeah, had a great time on there. Had a long chat. Had a long discussion. We debated CM Punk, and it got pretty heated at one point. But it was great discussion, and I'm glad, and I'm very proud to have them a part of the family. And if you guys want to be a part of the family, if you know somebody that wants to be a podcaster, talk wrestling, hell, we need editors, anything you guys could even think about doing for us, make logos even.
TikToks, breaking news, any kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, we'd happily invite you. Again, Main Event Wrestling Network, if you guys don't know, we're just a conglomerate of a bunch of content creators talking wrestling, celebrating wrestling, trying to get rid of tribalism. Very hard to do, but we're here for it. We're trying.
Good word, Ian. We're going to be popping large in 2024, as you would have said last week. Obviously, our good friend Jim Tucker is not with us. I believe he's got some coaching obligations this week, right?
Yeah, let's settle down with it. He's not with us anymore.
Not like that. Okay, you're the one that took it that way. He's away for the weekend, correct?
Yes, that is correct. He is, I believe, at a coaches meeting, I want to say.
Yeah, he's the head varsity coach over there at Douglas High School, so he's a busy man. He turned the Couts program around here in Northwest Indiana, and hopefully he's going to do the same there in the Valley. But Ian, obviously the big event that happened this past weekend was AEW Worlds End. I was not able to watch the show at all. I saw a little bit of highlights, of course, saw the results, but I believe you were able to catch it live. What were your overall thoughts of the show? You don't really have to get into the matches, but just what was the vibe like there on Saturday?
It was it kind of brought me back to just like a staple AEW production of great wrestling. There was a lot of backlash. Obviously, the one match I will call out was supposed to be Swerve and Keith Lee. Prayers to Keith Lee. I'm not sure of the injury, but he had to pull out of the match last second. But again, we'll probably talk about the match that did replace it.
We won't.
Okay, so
I only got a few things on AEW Worlds End. Like I said, there's a lot of things to get to, so we're kind of gonna skim over a bunch of stuff.
Okay, then just a quick shout out, Dustin Rhodes, obviously a legend in the wrestling community. I'm not sure how many people will watch that match, but Swerve versus Dustin Rhodes was a low-key banger. I really, really enjoyed that match, and I thought I was going into it with not a lot of expectations, but again, very solid wrestling show. I was watching it with a bunch of non-wrestling fans, which is usually very hard to get through, but it was actually kind of fun. I saw innocence in the eyes of watching a wrestling match. There was a lot of, oh my gosh, that looked like it hurt. And there was a lot of explaining I had to do, but that comes with it. Especially, oh gosh, it was Riho versus Tony Storm.
That's a tough match to describe if you're not in the know.
I told him, I was like, Riho's not that great. Just going to give that to you right now. And that was a lot of everybody's saying throughout the match, like, oh my God, this sucks. But there was also a lot of, oh my God, I feel bad for this Asian girl. So, because she got her ass kicked throughout the match.
She did. I didn't get to see any of it. So it was a convincing win for Timeless Tony?
It should have been more convincing. I think it should have been a squash, but I will never understand the love for Riho. I will say that.
To each their own. We all don't like the same wrestlers, but it just so happens that a lot of people in the OTM universe do not like Riho as well. So take that with a grain of salt. We are not the majority. We're the vocal minority. But let's dive into a few of the things that did happen at AEW Worlds End that I would like to talk about. And we can get into Miro versus Andrade. People were labeling this as a loser leaves to go to WWE match. And it seems like that is definitely the case because Miro was able to defeat Andrade. And of course, Andrade originally came out with CJ Perry as his manager. But I believe something transpired in this match. Ian, correct me if I'm wrong. And now it seems like CJ Perry is with her husband, Miro. Is that correct?
Yeah, it felt last second, and it kind of felt like they got the news of Andrade's not going to be coming back to the company within the week. I felt like they had something bigger planned for this feud, but obviously respect all to Andrade. He did as much as he actually could. I mean, he had injuries. He tried his best with the Intercontinental Classic.
He did well in it.
He had a faction, and then it got taken over silently. It was a weird finish to the match. CJ Perry just kind of decked Andrade, I do believe. I'm not going to lie. This is one of the matches which I was not expecting to, but I kind of fell out of. Wasn't a huge fan of, really. I don't know. It could just be
you
me.
think it was just maybe there's a lot of people around, or that you really knew that Miro was probably going to be the one to win?
I mean, I really didn't know who was going to win this match, which is the weird part. I expected Miro to win, but at the same time, I was not. If I
weren't
in the
know with all the Andrade stuff.
No, I was kept out of clear, which is surprising in today's wrestling world.
It's good for you. I mean, yeah, I would like to not see everything that comes across my timeline, but when you're running your personal Twitter account, your wrestling Twitter account, the podcast Twitter account, the network Twitter account, you're gonna see something. And speaking of the network, Mr. Cincinnati, Eric Robinson, said he personally likes Riho. And hey, that is just fine, Mr. Cincinnati. But he says the women's division booking needs to level up. And maybe with these new additions that we will be talking about here in a couple minutes, they will ramp up the booking a little bit more, because they definitely, I would say, deserve some more TV time. But, I mean, as a whole, Miro goes over. Good for him. I really don't know what they are doing with Miro right now. He kind of just seems to be around on Collision, but kept out of title scenes. For me personally, Ian, I would like to see Miro go after some sort of title. There's already 20 in the company. Pick one.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing that it is a worry to me. I felt like they were putting a lot of chips on this feud with Andrade and Miro. I mean, they put Miro's actual wife into the equation, and now it's just obviously she just kind of got handed back over to Miro. I think it was just bad timing. I really do, which is bad planning, bad booking, which sucks. But I'm sure they will find something to do with Miro. I really just don't want him to fall back into where he was with AEW before, just behind the scenes.
Yeah, and it might have been because of an injury. I'm not 100% sure of why he was off TV for an extended period of time. I also think they didn't have any creative plans, or I think we've even heard through the grapevine that Miro can be difficult to book at times because, he likes to go over. But that's neither here nor there. Andrade, on the other side of things, Andrade obviously leaving AEW now. We saw the note posted to X. He is leaving the company. He thanked a bunch of people in All Elite Wrestling. So the general consensus is that Andrade is WWE bound. I think you would agree with that statement, correct?
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to go over to New Japan or maybe even AAA. Hell, maybe even be a giant star on TNA. You got TNA trying to make a come up. So they might have thrown a shit ton of money, because we all know they threw a lot of money at CM Punk and he refused. So maybe they're looking for their next big star with Andrade. Who knows? I'm looking forward to it. Whatever he does, I wish him the best.
Yeah, I think he's definitely WWE bound. I was hoping, kind of going off of what Kind's saying, Kind said LWO for Andrade, which would make sense, especially with Zelina Vega already a part of the Latino World Order. I thought Andrade might have popped up in NXT a couple nights ago when Dragon Lee was unable to get back into the States and compete for the 6-man tag on NXT. It ended up being Carlito. I thought that would have been an interesting spot to, return Andrade, but maybe they're saving it for the bigger stage, probably a Royal Rumble appearance. I think that's where the money's at, Ian. Yeah,
they have a lot of hands to deal in the Royal Rumble. That would definitely be one of them. Again, it's a wait and see kind of process. I'm not expecting a quick turnaround for Andrade back into a company, so I wouldn't be surprised if he took some time off to think about it. Or maybe he's already signed it. We don't know, which would be wild, especially for WWE's sake.
Yeah, Eric says you have to feel bad for Cody. Eric, we're definitely going to be touching on the Cody Rhodes Rock situation here in about 15 to 20 minutes. So if I remember, I'm going to come back to this comment. We'll put a pin in it for now and continue on with AEW and go on to one of the bigger matches that was happening at World's End, Christian Cage versus Adam Copeland. And like I said earlier, I did not watch this show whatsoever, but I do know sort of what happened, that Adam Copeland did defeat Christian, and then Killswitch, a.k.a. Luchasaurus, who won the Battle Royal on the buy-in, had an opportunity at the TNT title, and Christian took that opportunity from Killswitch, cashed it in, and he became a 2-time TNT champion. Is that correct?
That is very correct, yes.
See, look I don't even watch this shit.
I mean, it was a big surprise. I was locked into this match, and honestly, if we had not done our OTMEs, this would have been one of my nominees. I mean, technically,
Really?
the first match was killer, man. It was exactly what a love song would be like between Cage and Copeland. Went throughout their whole entire career with the spots they've done throughout their career in WWE. They went through the tables, they went through the ladders, they went through the chairs. They did even the flaming table spot that Edge did. I'm sure you saw the clip of it with.
Wasn't he wearing the jacket he wore against Mick Foley too in that match?
Yes.
Good touch.
It was cool. It was a very cool match. Obviously, I was a big Edge guy early on. He's always been a guy that I've leaned on when it comes to wrestling fandom.
Somebody to lean on. There it is. Sorry.
No. It was a killer match. I wish they would not have done the double swerve, but that's exactly what they wanted to do because now I hate Cage. I genuinely despise him, and I don't know what they're going to do with Copeland.
That's good that you hate Cage. That
I
means
know.
he's doing his job. Kind saw Edge botch the fire table spot and nearly broke someone's neck. Yeah, I saw that too. That could have been very bad for Nick Wayne, right? That was Nick Wayne that was receiving that.
Yeah, it was.
Did Nick Wayne's mom get involved at all in this match?
She did, it was probably like a grab the shoulder, tug away kind of thing, stare at him.
The foot.
It was never like any punches thrown or anything.
I'll tell you what, his promo on Dynamite to follow up after this was fantastic, and obviously I don't think this feud is over with anytime soon. We talked about potential trilogies, I believe, 2 episodes ago. This could go on maybe even longer. Maybe the end destination is Double or Nothing.
Well, technically the trilogy already happened. Christian Cage is actually on top, but no. Yeah, I think I called this out on the last podcast when we were giving our predictions. Maybe this unlocks something with Copeland. Maybe it's not hey, I enjoy wrestling. I'm back. I'm in a wrestling ring. Maybe this is like where we get actually what he wanted to do with Judgment Day when he was with WWE in his last run.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Maybe it's not a feel-good run for him. Maybe he just wants to show another side of the Adam Copeland character that he was not able to do in WWE, like you were saying. Yeah, no, that's a good point. But overall, very good match, huh?
Very. I loved it. This was one of my favorite matches.
So you're saying if I were to watch a match from this card, this would be the one?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay. Maybe I'll have to give it a watch then. Got some time tonight after the podcast. Of course, got to upload it and do all that stuff, but maybe I'll pop it on. Not a busy work day for me going on tomorrow. It's the beginning of the year, thank God, because the end of the year was terrible. Kind says, I think AEW should sign him. I'm going to say that's going to be a no for me, dog.
No, actually, wait, hold on. Could be one of Christian's sons. We might be on to
something. Oh, yeah. Kine and Nick Wayne, they're cousins. Kine Wayne.
Across the ocean.
Yeah. Kine, you don't know it, but your mom is Nick Wayne's mom, and she's got it going on. I got to say that for sure. Speaking of trilogies, why is Hangman getting a third opportunity against Swerve? That's a good question, Ian. Eric asked a good question there.
That's a great question because after the Swerve literally hanging Hangman, you would think that it's over. But again, it could be like an Adam Copeland situation. Technically, Adam Copeland's feud with Christian Cage should be really over. It should be Christian Cage versus Killswitch now. They should be moved on. But there obviously probably won't be. Again, it could just be unlocking a new side of Hangman Page, which we haven't seen before. Not going to be the anxious millennial cowboy anymore. He's fully moved on, new facial hair and everything. So I'm in for it. I'm not questioning it too much.
Maybe they're giving us another exploding barbed wire death match where the firework fountains go off afterwards.
Yeah, and another thing too is like we got to give Swerve something. We got to keep him hot. How do you do that with some violent feud? Let's keep this guy going. This is the thing that got him popular in the first place was with the feud with Hangman.
I tell you what, though, at one point, they stop using violence as a way to get over in AEW? I think that's the main reason why everybody loves Jon Moxley. You could argue that's the reason why people like Adam Page because he's extreme. And now you got Swerve that's kind of leaning into this killer gimmick. To me, it's a little too much. Maybe that's just me growing up in the WWE days where it was more PG and soft. Yeah. I feel like everybody gets over in the same kind of way in AEW, if that makes any sense.
I could see that. I got a couple points. So actually, Hangman, once he started doing the violent stuff, I think it started with Lance Archer, I want to say, or maybe it was Moxley. That's kind of when I grew away from him. I liked him. My most popularity towards him was when he was doing the relatable stuff. Like, hey, I'm just another guy who was a teacher before kind of thing, that whole gimmick.
Yeah.
Which is his real life. That's his real thing. That's when I loved him because he was relatable. Once he started doing the violent stuff, But I think the wrestlers get popular from violence because that's really all they could do in AEW because it's limited storytelling and it's all in-ring stuff. So, and a lot of stipulations in matches. That's probably why it tends to happen because that's how it is.
That makes sense. I would say my favorite version of Hangman is just drunk Hangman.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very relatable. We all know somebody that's a drunk. I mean, come on. I have a couple friends that are drunk, so I saw it this weekend in the flesh. But yeah, nonetheless, there's a couple more things I want to talk about from the AEW side of things, and let's go to Eddie Kingston defeating his good friend Jon Moxley to win the Triple Crown title. I'm not really sure if that's exactly what they're calling it, Ian, but the match itself, how was it? I did not see anything from this whatsoever.
Nothing spectacular. They really fed into Moxley and Eddie being genuine best friends, and I thought the storytelling was really good. It was really solid. I felt emotional for Eddie throughout the match because it was a brawl. It was an absolute brawl. And there was a lot of meat slapping, a whole lot of slapping of the chest, and the hug at the end when Eddie had all the belts around him. It was a cool scene. It was a feel good moment. It was a really good feel good spot in the pay-per-view. So again, Eddie's getting a lot of slack from the wrestling fans, mainly WWE fans, because
mainly me,
a big guy. Yeah, that's also true.
Mainly, it's nobody else. Trust me. I went on the Wrestling Junkies podcast earlier and commented that Eddie Kingston's a bum.
The thing is with Eddie, he got popular about stuff that WWE diehards like shit on AEW for. He pulled the heartstrings of people with his voice and speaking, and his wrestling is it's mid, but he can hang.
It's the realism that attracts you to him.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't think he's gonna be kind of a flash in the pan thing. Eddie's always had that side of him, like give him a belt, see what he could do with it. So we'll see what he can do with this feud and these titles.
Listen, I'm not denying the fact that Eddie Kingston's a great babyface, because he is, and I think the realism is what makes him so great. He's authentic. What you see is what you get with Eddie Kingston. Yeah. He's not playing a character on TV. That's just who he is. It's, to me, the match style is not my favorite. And then when you're able to tell a good story, he's able to paint a good picture most of the time. I invest emotionally into it, but when we get into the ring and then you talk about killing people and destroying them, and then you're just slapping them multiple times in the chest, and that's where the disconnect is for me. But that's me being nitpicky. That's what I do. That's how it's going to be. I'm not an Eddie Kingston guy.
I was gonna say I totally get it. And I've always usually been like that with Eddie. I hate the machine gun stuff he does. He does like the gun thing.
Yeah.
He did it this time with Moxley, but it actually sounded really like harsh. He laid in on the chops, but that's his best friend. You're gonna have to. And that's kind of why I was invested in this match. Is I know the backstory behind these two.
Yeah.
And you could tell Moxley was genuinely proud of his friend. And that really got me.
See what happens when there's actually good storytelling?
Mm-hmm.
What can come out of it? Mm-hmm. Granted, like you said, it wasn't the best match, but you were into it, and you probably got emotional when Eddie won, I would assume.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was fully expecting Moxley to win, bring it over to Japan with the new titles, and doing Moxley thing. And Moxley still went over to Japan, by the way.
Yeah, that he did. We woke up to some news this morning for New Japan Wrestling Kingdom, mm-hmm. which we will finish this episode off talking about. Nick Nemeth, of course, showing up there, but yeah, so Eddie Kingston wins this tournament. Obviously, he was the champion going into the tournament. Do you know the answer to Kyne's question there?
Are you talking about the
Burger King hat on? Was that
real? No, that's not real. That is people fat shaming Eddie Kingston. That is all that is.
We are not fat shaming Eddie because
correct.
Yeah. He obviously deserves what he is getting here. The real thing that kind of threw me off about this whole tournament is that they created it just for Eddie to win whatever he already had.
I do agree with that. I think it was more like it worked for me. I was falling out of Eddie. I've told you that before. I wasn't a huge Eddie guy. And then after this Intercontinental Classic, I really didn't even watch him on Collision when he lost the 2 matches and then came back, ended up going back to the championship. And the finals match got me. And I kind of forgot he was a champion of whatever the hell he was. He was
Me
some
too.
New Japan champion, and now it was like a trip. I don't know the other championships that got merged in. Obviously, a new AEW title is the main.
ROH was involved in it as well.
Oh yeah, it was. Yep, ROH television or something like that.
Yeah.
So it was ROH getting rid of a championship, merging it with AEW, making it one whole. So it all makes sense in the end. You're getting rid of some championships, making it all into one. So I think it's a win-win.
Yeah, it's definitely probably the right call out of these two. I definitely didn't want Moxley to win because Moxley doesn't really need to win anything anymore in AEW. He's already a top guy. Kine said he didn't know. Thanks for informing me, Ian. He genuinely did not know that was fake. Kine also goes on to say, I figured I'd pull this up because I would agree with him. He said Adam Cole's new faction is called Undisputed. Very creative in my opinion. I like it a lot. It's actually called Undisputed Kingdom, obviously playing off the kingdom that is Taven and Mike Bennett. I thought the presentation for his new faction was fantastic on Dynamite, and I don't know about you.
Oh, closing out the pay-per-view with Adam sitting in the chair. I know you sent it was the Joe Biden meme sitting in the chair with his mask on. That was hilarious. I think it was either you or Vogus that sent in the group chat.
Bernie Sanders. It was Bernie Sanders.
Sorry, Bernie Sanders. Very funny.
Sorry,
but it's a very cool visual, and I'm excited, especially after the promo on Dynamite. I'm excited for what the future holds for that faction. And obviously they have a lot of targets now. That's it.
There it is. Get a taste, everyone. Bernie was hanging out. He was revealed as the devil. Yeah, we might as well talk about the ending to AEW Worlds End. The end of Worlds End, I guess we could say. Samoa Joe is your new AEW World Heavyweight Champion. And obviously, as the picture and we talked about, the devil was revealed as Adam Cole. But first, let's go to the match itself, Ian. I've seen some complaints, not a lot, but some complaints on how the match finished. Obviously, I saw MJF did not tap, correct? He kind of just passed out.
Passed out, yeah. And that's kind of what shocked everybody. I mean, if on paper that makes sense, especially after Maxwell released that article about his own story with the title, it makes sense for him not to tap. He's not going to give up. But it was just out of nowhere. It was weird. There was no interaction from the devil group to make him win the championship. They just
so during the match, the group did not show up at all. I did not know that.
Nothing. That's kind of what shocked everybody. At least it shocked me. It just kind of that was it. Samoa Joe's new champion, and that's what I was in shock. And then the group came out. That's what kind of layered it with. Okay, this is pretty cool.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, overall the match was okay. It was okay. The ending kind of ruined it for me. It was another MJF match of selling an injury and kind of pumping himself up and saying, I'm not quitting. His usual spiel in the ring. Overall, solid.
You were the only one to pick Samoa Joe to win, actually, last week, correct?
Was I?
I think you were when we... no, you weren't on the show. You weren't on the show when we did our World's End predictions, were you? Oh, no, yeah, you were. Yeah, you picked Samoa Joe. Yeah, now I'm starting to remember it. Yeah, you had Samoa Joe in that match. I don't know why you're so surprised, because I remember picking MJF and Tuck agreeing with me.
I figured Samoa Joe was going to win. I think MJF needs a time off, obviously. If he's genuinely hurt, he needs a time off. I wasn't expecting the ending that it was. I thought it was going to be really clean in the fact of like, oh, no, Samoa Joe just won. But no, it was, oh, God, Samoa Joe just won. Who was AEW champion, by the way, for OTM?
It was vacant. We didn't do a prediction sheet because I was gone for the weekend, and that's what happens when I'm gone for the weekend. Things fall apart in the OTM universe.
Crown me.
I'm not going to crown you for shit, Ian. Just saying. But I didn't see the match, obviously, but I saw the finish. I like it just because they don't go to that finish very often. I think that is a perfect way to end the reign via Samoa Joe. I think Samoa Joe's the submission magician, whatever you want to call him. He's a machine. It makes a lot of sense for him to just completely knock MJF out. And like you were saying, MJF was obviously still selling those injuries, so he's got a little scapegoat reasoning there for losing his title. And then obviously he's got stuff with the Undisputed Kingdom that he can come back to whenever he decides to, if he decides to come back, because of course he's still a free agent, Ian, right? He hasn't signed with AEW.
Oh, no. That guy's going to leave the company. Hey, WWE bound. Absolutely.
Not this year. Not next year. Maybe in the near future. But the group itself, the collection of individuals that they got, I I think it might have been too predictable, but I love the addition of Wardlow. I know Wardlow's kind of been a faction whore, but I think it could work.
Okay, again, a lot of people giving, especially AEW fans, giving shit to Tony Khan with Wardlow. I mean, Wardlow's face run, it was good for a while, but it was literally the idea of a flash in the pan. The only thing that was good with it was he beat MJF. He turned on MJF, I should say, turned face, and then went on a rampage of just power bombing people. And it was always some people that were like, what does that do for him? It makes him look stronger, but we already know he's strong. Yeah. Now he's just going to be a silent powerhouse in a heel faction, the hottest heel faction in AEW. I'm not going to say wrestling, obviously, but in AEW. He's going to be on the main stage. He's going to be within around the title, the AEW title. This is a win for Wardlow.
And he said if he wins that title from Samoa Joe, that he will give the title to Adam Cole when he comes back from injury. I don't know if that actually would happen, but that'd be a good way to kind of start some dissension within the Undisputed Kingdom. But I think the most interesting thing that came out of Dynamite, at least, is that the Undisputed Kingdom seems to be on a collision course with the Acclaimed and maybe Bullet Club Gold, which, sign me up.
Oh, my gosh. I loved the applause that Jay White got when out on Dynamite, came out, brought out the Young Guns. It's a cool feeling. I'm really excited for that. I don't know if it's an actual face turn because obviously they went back to their heel tensions. Did not want to scissor the boys in the Acclaimed. Walked out of the ring. But
unbelievable.
If they have to band together, if they have to band together with the scissors, sign me up because I'm all in. Should be fun. Should be very fun.
It should be. I'm very excited to see what's next for the Undisputed Kingdom. And hopefully MJF can take this time now to relax, rest up, figure out what you want to do next. Because, there's a reason MJF is a two-time OTME winner. So, well-deserved reign. Congrats to Samoa Joe. He's the new champion. One more AEW thing before we move on to WWE. And it's that the Virtuosa showed up after Mariah May defeated Queen Aminata. And she is hashtag all elite. An interesting get, a get that a lot of people were speculating over the past couple days, Ian. We saw reports that she was not going to be returning to TNA. She obviously probably had interest from the WWE, I would assume, since she has ties to the WWE and NXT. But she ultimately decided to be a part of the AEW women's roster. What's your thoughts on this move?
I didn't see a lot of her action in NXT. I saw her reign a little bit in Impact, and then coming over to AEW. She's very well-traveled. She might be the most well-traveled wrestler in wrestling right now, hands down. Going from WWE Impact to AEW. I don't know if that's a first.
TNA, yeah.
Yeah, might be a first. I don't know.
Ring of Honor. I know she was in Ring of Honor, too, for a little bit, yeah.
So, and again, I didn't actually hear about this one. Again, I didn't hear the rumors, and I think I texted you that. I literally said, I'm in. Because I think Mariah May killed her segment. Her and Queen Aminata had a pretty good match. Mariah May, the promo afterwards was pretty funny. And then just getting brushed aside by Deonna Purrazzo. The women's division is in a good spot. And I pray this is a wake-up call to TK up in the booth in gorilla position saying, put them out in the ring. We want to see women's wrestling in AEW. Yeah. Give Rampage to the women. I don't care what it takes. Kick your mid-carders off the card. We want to see the women have good feuds. Thank you. That was my TED Talk.
I hope Tony was watching. I know the three people that were watching live were definitely watching as I got super close up to the camera right there. But Deonna Purrazzo is an interesting get for AEW because I don't think there's anybody like her on the AEW roster right now. I think maybe Athena is the closest thing maybe to Deonna Purrazzo. Athena, of course, being a little bit more athletic, but technically sound, that's what the Virtuosa is. So her and Mariah May being maybe the first feud, I think is great, which, by the way, Mariah May, I didn't know anything about her time in Stardom or anything that she did previously, but what she has done in the brief stint in AEW, I think that's another piece. And then you still have Jamie Hayter, who is injured. You have Britt Baker, who you haven't put on TV in God knows how long. There's some players in this division. Saraya, why aren't you using Saraya? She was the pioneer of the women's revolution.
And you have a returning Thunder Rosa who's been on Collision.
That too.
That's about it. The thing I want to say right now, these women that we just named, what is one similarity that they all have? And it's something AEW Women's Division did not have in the first place. It's an aura. They show up on your television screen and you're like, oh, okay. It has a superstar aura, and I hate to say that because that's the WWE way. But that's a sports entertainment side. You still need that. You can't just have simple pro wrestling. Dr. Britt Baker.
Gotta have an it factor.
Yeah, exactly. Britt Baker. You've even said that Britt Baker has that it factor way back when AEW first started. She was their only women's actual icon and main star. Yeah. You have to have that aura. Mariah May comes in. I mean, just with her ring gear, just her presence. She knows how to command a crowd. That is how you do it, because I was locked in. It was her debut match, and all we've seen from her was being Toni Storm's side chick in backstage segments in black and white.
Yeah. Mariah May can definitely go, and her cadence on the microphone is beautiful. Of course, she's gorgeous as well. That's obvious, though. I don't really think I needed to state that, but I do. One last thing about AEW, I got to give some shine to Queen Aminata. We know the Queen. We have interacted with the Queen at Warrior Wrestling. She is a fantastic human being, and her match, no slouch either by any means. I think she stood up as an equal to Mariah May in that debut match.
Again, another person, another wrestler that has an aura about herself. She's huge. She is a naturally gifted and athletic person, and she has a little bit of a character, and she could wrestle. She could go. We've seen that in person and on TV. So wishing her all the best, and I hope that she gets some kind of push here soon.
And I hope she stays healthy, because I believe she was enduring an injury recently. She's kind of now in that boat where Sky Blue was about 2 years ago. You know of her. It's time to cook. It's time to put her on TV, let the Queen do her thing. But main takeaway, obviously, Deonna Purrazzo is now in AEW. So that's about all I have from AEW side of things. I say we finish up here with a little bit of WWE talk. Go back to Monday Night Raw, which, by the way, did you get to watch Raw this week?
I watched the second half of Raw, which was the most important half of Raw. And I left halfway between the main event. Actually, no, I watched the full main event. Was kind of out of tune for the second half. I didn't have audio for the second half of the main event.
Where Seth retained his title. I didn't put it on the doc, but Drew McIntyre losing another world title. Man, I don't know how long that guy is going to want to stick around if he keeps losing.
I said this before. Okay. I think I texted you this almost exactly word for word, bar for bar. The only thing that could save Drew, if you're going to want to keep him as a powerhouse and as a formidable opponent, is a Royal Rumble victory. But that's all I'm going to say. I know there's other contenders that deserve it or could use it better, but
who would he choose?
It's got to be some caliber. Gunther.
Yeah, but I don't know. But he's got to choose a world champion.
It's a title. I don't believe it has to be a world champion.
I think it does.
We've seen a women's Royal Rumble winner go for the WWE NXT Women's Championship. That's not a world championship.
It is to me. The NXT titles are world championships to me. They're more of a world title than what the Ring of Honor world title is right now.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely. I'm just saying from a perspective of it doesn't have world. I don't know. That's up for debate. I think that's actually a good question. I would like to see it, but
yeah, let us know. Do you consider the NXT titles world titles? Sound off in the comments section. Kind said WWE fumbled that Drew match. Should have been Priest cash in, loses the belt at EC. Still have Seth versus Punk for the world championship. Yeah, that's another thing, man. What the hell are they doing with Damian Priest? Because the Money in the Bank stuff's not working anymore. It's been multiple times now over the past couple of years where they have failed these winners.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's something related to the Judgment Day. Maybe this is Damian Priest. Maybe he comes up with the reason that the Judgment Day are holding him back to cash in that title. Obviously, we've seen that. We've seen some diversion between the Judgment Day when it comes around to the Money in the Bank title, whatever you want to call it, briefcase. Maybe that's the reason, but yeah, like you're saying, the failed cash-in thing gets old. It gets old really quickly.
Overplayed, Triple H. I mean, we praise you for the things that you're doing well, which is a lot, But the teasing of the cash in, just stop. Just keep it off TV for a little bit. I don't care. At this point, I don't think Priest is going to successfully cash in. It's going to be another wasted Mr. Money in the Bank. But we could talk about that another day. Let's talk about Becky Lynch actually losing a match to Nia Jax. It got a lot of people angry online. But for me personally, I'm not a Nia Jax fan. But I think this is probably the right decision to have Nia go over here, Ian. Especially when we still got about 3 months of television till WrestleMania for Becky Lynch.
So I can only speak on this because I did not watch this match live. I didn't actually watch this match at all.
It was actually a really good match. I want to throw that out there too. Really good match.
Well, it's good for Nia Jax. It's kind of a fuck you to the haters, which I will say it. I'm one of those haters, but I'm not in a go away, get off my screen, because I think she's earned the people's trust back with the injury prone wrestler. I think they're not going to allow, WWE would not allow that to happen again. If she wasn't a safe worker, she wouldn't be on television. So let's stay away from that now. She's not winning the people over. She's driving the fans away because she's a heel, people. You're supposed to hate her. All right. You don't have to hate her as a person because you hate her in the ring because that's her job.
She has value. I'm starting to see why you have a Nia Jax on your roster. And I think this match shows you what can come of Nia Jax going forward. I don't know if she's a world champion in the near future, but I think this side quest feud for Becky is going to make her look like a bigger star when she inevitably, in my opinion, goes up against Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. I think that's the match they're probably building towards.
You know what? I kind of like she really is almost playing to her nickname of the irresistible force, where it's, as much as you want her to stay away, she's going to keep winning. She's still a badass. And I kind of like that side of it, now that I really think about it. I haven't put a lot of thought into Nia Jax's character, because it's...
Ladies and gentlemen, Ian is a Nia Jax fan. You heard it here.
Easy. Let's be easy.
He's not like most guys, and she's not like most girls. That's why they call her the irresistible force. Kai makes a good point with the Money in the Bank. He said, I think it was the right guy, wrong time. He should have been world champion, but Punk returning kind of ruined it, which could be true. And he also goes on to say Nia Jax is awful, that you're entitled to your opinion. I'm not a fan of hers, but I'm not going to say she's awful. I think that might be a little...
She plays her part well. If she doesn't hurt anybody and draws heat and people want to see her lose, she's doing her job very well.
Absolutely. So let's get into the big return, and that being of the modern-day Maharaja, Jinder Mahal, who showed up. Triple H obviously was talking about a former world champion returning to Raw, and we got Jinder Mahal. He was not lying, Ian. First off, when I saw that, I had this feeling deep down. I was like, that can't be it, right? Did you have that same feeling?
No, because for a second I'm like, oh God, I forgot Vince is in charge. And then I realized, I'm like, oh shit, Triple H is in charge. We might actually get something here. Because the promo went on really long and really got the crowd to hate Jinder Mahal, which shout out to Jinder Mahal because he knows how to work a crowd.
Yeah, he did cut a good promo there, but obviously... he was bashing America, and of course, the great one, The Rock, comes out. If you smell what The Rock is cooking, he lays the smackdown onto Jinder Mahal. I think the reason that segment ran a little long is because of Giovanni Vinci's injury in that tag match, the match beforehand, so that's why I'm seeing that it went on long. But, classic vintage Rock stuff going on, getting the whole crowd to chant, Day one, douchebag. That went on for about 5 minutes. It's just classic Rock right there. And of course, he would hit the people's elbow on Jinder. But that's not the main takeaway, Ian. The main takeaway being, he was like, hey, am I going to go to the bar after this? Am I going to go to the restaurant?
Yeah.
Or am I going to go sit at the head of the table? So, obviously, seeds have been planted. The Rock has called out Roman Reigns for a match. Now, the question is, when is that match? And let me phrase it differently to you. Let's go. Well, I'm going to go with this first question. What would you want to see? When would you want to see The Rock versus Roman Reigns?
Oh, God, that's such a difficult question. Because realistically, anytime. I don't care. But if you're trying to make the most out of it, it has to be WrestleMania. Because if I'm really thinking about it, do I want to see Cody versus Roman again? Yes, absolutely. But it's The Rock versus Roman. I mean, that's arguably one of the greatest matchups in wrestling history. Especially with today's Roman Reigns and what The Rock has built legacy-wise over the years. Oh, it's so. You know what? I'm going to turn the table.
You want Rock Roman at Mania? You're saying fuck Cody Rhodes, fuck the story.
Whoa. If I were to choose between the two, I got to go Cody and Roman because this has been building for such a long time. The build-off is going to be incredible, going to be huge. But
it's going to be huge.
But Roman and Rock is hard to pass up. So why not do that night one? You got to do Cody versus Roman night two. I think that is the best meet in the middle possibility.
I think Punk and Rollins have to main event one of the nights. And if you have Rock Roman on one of the nights, that has to main event. And let's look at it from two different perspectives. You know, the fan in me wants Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. Mm-hmm. That should be the match for the world title, the undisputed title. But the business side of me says Rock Roman sells way more tickets. Rock Roman grabs way more headlines. Rock Roman, you could put that on ESPN breaking news, you know, the very next day. That's how big this is. The Rock Roman, you know, they even on the Rock show that was on NBC, they hinted towards this about a year ago when little Roman was like, I want to fight you, Uncle Rock. And then he's like, that's a match only big enough for WrestleMania. Well, you can't do it at Elimination Chamber, really, can you? Can you really do it at the in Perth in front of 62,000 people and then just say bye to The Rock? You're not wrestling at WrestleMania?
I mean, you can. Realistically, you can. The atmosphere for these pay-per-views has been incredible, and Australia is going to be a first. I heard on Busted Open that a huge Samoan population is in Australia, so it makes sense. But for the average viewer, no one knows about that. No one cares about that unless they made it a staple and made that part of the story that we're going to our heartlands.
Made it known, yeah.
But it's such a difficult question because also I want to go back really quick to WrestleMania. Sorry, my brain is jostled because the question, that's all it's going to do to my brain.
I mean, it's a question and it's a debate that is going on for everybody right now.
Right. With Seth and CM Punk, if the worry is not to give Punk the main event, because that's the first reason he left, it was literally because Rock stole the main event of WrestleMania from Punk, and that's why he left WWE.
Here we go again.
And if it's a here we go again situation, so what? CM Punk absolutely shit on the company for as long as he was away. Why does he deserve to come back? Sure, he's bringing in numbers. Sure, he's doing historic numbers. Sure, he's bringing a shit ton of money. The fact he came back, cool. But he also said in a promo, I am not here to make friends. I am here to make money. Why would WWE look at that and be like, you know what? Yeah, I think he's changed. I think he's a good guy. I don't get it. My brain is jostled from it. I'm not saying CM Punk deserves a main event.
CM Punk doesn't deserve anything, but I think he definitely has earned a main event in the past. You know, his first run with WWE, he earned that back in the day. So he probably should have main evented with Chris Jericho. I don't know which WrestleMania that was, but it probably should have been the main event. Mm-hmm. Fast forward here to now, you have 3 matches staring you right in the face, and it's The Rock versus Roman Reigns versus Cody, and Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. And you also can't forget that there's going to be, you know, marquee women's matchups. You're probably going to see Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch, Bayley versus Io Sky is a possibility. Those have a great case to main event as well. But if I'm just going off of being a fan, you know, I'm a fan. That's what I am. I would prefer it to have The Rock and Roman Reigns main event Elimination Chamber with the knowing that Samoan, you know, connection there in Australia. That makes a lot of sense to me. And then after that, you know, maybe The Rock gets involved and does a match against Jimmy Uso and Solo. You know?
I was going to bring that up. I think if...
Because there's no way Roman beats Rock clean if this match does happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, if you do that, where's the close off between Roman and The Rock? They would have to face at some point, maybe the following WrestleMania. But I don't think The Rock's going to wait that long. I don't think WWE is going to wait that long especially when you have a carrot dangling in front of this match being possible this year. But I will say this. I agree with you completely from a fan side of the view. That was me trying to look through the WWE's point of view in the business side and what's going to make them the most money. But from a fan's perspective, I would like to see Roman and Rock main event Elimination Chamber in Perth, because I think that is if that is the only incredible match on that card, absolutely sign me up. It's going to be free. It's going to be the same price as WrestleMania regardless. We're all going to watch it.
Yeah.
Then Seth and Punk night 1, and Roman and Cody night 2. I think that is the best experience for the fan.
100%. I totally agree with you there. And what I've noticed too over the past couple of years with these, B level, I guess you could say, PLEs, they kind of are loading cards. Like, look at Backlash. Yeah. Bad Bunny's almost as big of a name as a Rock.
Yeah,
people don't realize the pull that Bad Bunny actually has throughout the world. So this match headlining Elimination Chamber is not a foregone conclusion, but it's definitely a possibility. I wouldn't say it's likely, but it's definitely something that we hope is likely going to happen. So,
absolutely. Actually,
I guess we'll find out. It's what it comes down to.
I was going to say, I wanted to bring up this comment. Kine says, I think you can make Cody wait. Punk wins Rumble. Punk versus Seth, night 1. Night 2 is Roman versus Rock. Cody then rebuilds over the year again, destroys a bloodline, wins a Rumble. WrestleMania 41 faces Roman. I'm gonna say something really quick.
People will get tired of Cody.
Cody would have to turn heel.
Yeah.
He would have to. There's no way they are going to drive this much force. That is the reason Cody has gotten this popular, is because this WrestleMania, we understood what was at play, what was going to happen eventually. Everyone knew that in the back of their mind. If we had to wait another year, no shot. I'll
tell you right now, I'm one of the bigger Cody marks currently in 2024. If he loses to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, I'm out. I don't care about Cody anymore. Why should I care?
What if the match never even happens? That's a real question. If he loses, obviously, yeah, that's out the window. He should not be a dare.
If the match never even happens.
Yeah, would you be upset? Would you want to wait another year?
Then I view Cody as like a big mid-carder, if that makes sense.
He's a nuisance at that point.
He's kind of just there, and he's just floating around. He can't float for another year. He did have a very important feud with Brock Lesnar this year, which helped him. But after that, he's kind of been floating, just trying to get to the Rumble. And that's why I'm like, it has to be Cody versus Roman this year. It just has to be. Eric Robinson, Mr. Cincinnati, says, it's Punk's last chance in a mainstream American promotion. Has to fly right to make one last bag. You're not wrong there, Eric. Kine also says, why can't Roman beat him clean? Cena beat him clean at Mania, and he wasn't 3 years as champ. I just don't think The Rock is going to, lose clean to Roman Reigns. I don't really have a reasoning for it, Ian. I just don't think it's just the way Roman has been finishing every single match for the past year is by interference, Kine.
I will say
he never wins clean.
Yeah, if you compare the wins he's had over the year to defeating The Rock, the name of The Rock, you would expect a lot of shenanigans. But I wouldn't be upset if Roman beat The Rock clean, because I think
I wouldn't either.
If you build that match to be as big as it should be built, obviously it's written on paper, it's already huge. But if the match delivers as it should, and he beats him clean, I'm fine with that. If that's a Rock's last match, cool with me. That's a pass on the torch.
Yeah, I totally agree. If this match happens at Elimination Chamber or WrestleMania between Roman and The Rock, this should retire Rocky. This should be it. If you get beat by your cousin, your uncle, whatever he is, you're done. That's it. Go off into the sunset. Go make some more shitty movies. I don't care.
Go be Kevin Hart's side chick.
Exactly. What if there's no more story, no more Roman? He just doesn't face him. I think that's dropping the ball.
No, absolutely not. That is a punch in the face, a kick in the nuts to Cody. Cody should leave the company.
I was going to say, if that's the case, Cody should go walk back through the doors at AEW.
Which he would be welcomed with open arms.
And he smashes the throne again.
And actually just lights it on fire in a whatever the match is called, Texas Death Match.
All right, we got one more thing to touch on, and then we'll wrap things up here. Like we said earlier, this morning we woke up and we saw some news on the Twitter sphere that Dolph Ziggler, now known as by his real name, Nick Nemeth, is in New Japan. He showed up at Wrestle Kingdom 18. I believe he confronted David Finlay. They caught him on camera with his brother Ryan. as they approached ringside, which, by the way, Ryan Nemeth is fucking hilarious. I don't know if you pay attention.
He is very funny.
He's a very...
It's just so funny because he really wants to be known as Dolph Ziggler's brother. But I think he does it on purpose. He does it on purpose. I know it's comedy.
He's Robin. He's Robin the Batman. But it's crazy, Ian, because Dolph Ziggler signed with the WWE in 2004. He was with WWE for 2 decades, so he never really, to my knowledge, had a chance to do anything outside of the WWE. No. Showing up in New Japan, this is refreshing, because if he goes to AEW, I feel like he's just another former WWE guy going over to AEW. Mm-hmm. I think this is a good landing spot for Dolph Ziggler going forward. What do you think?
Yeah, very much so. And have you seen his promo video that they made?
Where he jumped over the table like that guy did to the judge?
Oh, wait, was that? Did that actually happen? I don't remember.
Yeah, that did happen.
It was like the bar fight with zombies and everything, but it was...
Oh, yeah, who created
The Wanted
that?
Man.
Downstate, wasn't it?
Yeah, Downstate made the music for it.
Okay,
I don't know who made the video. It was probably Ryan, honestly. He's a director. But very cool. I like the way he's heading. It makes me think he genuinely loves the business as much as he hates to say that he does. As we all know, he's a comedian and he will shit on the business every single chance he gets, but is very good at it, and I think respects it, has enough respect to go overseas, really explore the love of pro wrestling, and I'm all here for it. If it involves people like David Finlay, maybe even I don't know, a Will Ospreay. Yeah, me neither. I'm all here for it. I might actually tune in at 4 a.m. on a weekday and maybe watch a match.
That was my exact reaction when I saw that. I'm like, I would actually watch New Japan if Nick Nemeth and Ryan were a part of their show going forward. I think that's interesting, and I think that could lead to other names that were just recently let go. Maybe a Shelton Benjamin dips his toes into New Japan. I would love to see that as well.
I wonder, I think he's been over to Japan.
He has been over there.
I don't know if it was for New Japan or if it was for MMA stuff, but I do believe he was over there. Anyway.
Yeah, we don't know a lot about New Japan. We know of New Japan, so we figured we'd at least discuss this briefly because Dolph, obviously having a 20-year career in the WWE, you know, he made some headlines. So shout out to him for getting back on his feet. I also saw an interview, Ian checked it out too, with Chris Van Vliet and formerly known as Rick Boogs, and it seems like Rick Boogs is not going to be wrestling for the foreseeable future, which I was kind of surprised to see.
I'm not incredibly surprised to see, and we talked about it before the show. Eric Bugenhausen, I think that's how you say his name, is his real name. Going by it. He does YouTube now, and he has been a bodybuilder and weightlifter all his life and is exploring that side of him. So, again, wish the best for him. He seems to be genuinely having a great time with it, having a lot of brand sponsors and everything. And I kind of feel bad for him a little bit because he seems like genuinely he loves the entertainment of WWE and the wrestling business. He just doesn't want to be in it. They might have ruined it for him. It's sad to see, but it happens every now and then. I just wish him the best, and I hope he could have a good career on YouTube.
Breaking news to close out this episode. Not really that shocking. As revealed on WWE 2024 preview special on Peacock, Becky Lynch and Shinsuke Nakamura have both declared for the Royal Rumble. So 2 names you expected to be in the Royal Rumble will be in the Royal Rumble. Breaking news.
Whoa.
Right here to end the show. Crazy stuff, but yeah, we are at the end of this podcast, which will take us to the MVM of OTM. If you're unfamiliar, it's your first time checking out us here in 2024. The MVM is the most valuable mark of the episode. It is the person interacting with us live, giving the best quality comments, and just being a great guy or gal. And ladies and gentlemen, this week's winner is very easy. He was with there from the jump. He was first, he's last, and he is and new MVM of OTM, Kine.
I'm proud.
We don't have the sound. We don't have the sound machine, guys. Sorry.
I don't want to clap into the mic. I don't know if it's really loud in this mic.
It wasn't. Do it again. Good job.
Thank you. Wait.
I heard that one. He said, I thought Hunter was announcing something crazy. Maybe he is, and I just did not see it on my my Twitter feed. Kind, that's your job to go look that up. And he goes, first MVM of 2024 is Kind. You got that right, pal. So congrats to you and starting this year off hot. Ian, we talked about a lot. We went from AEW to WWE to even some New Japan. You got any final thoughts before we sign off here?
I know our other co-host says it a lot, but it is a great time to be a wrestling fan. We are under a week into 2024, and there is a lot of hot news and breaking news, and this year is shaping out to be incredibly it's going to be popping large. You got Mercedes Moné on the line with every single company, still even WWE, even though there's reports of her.
She has not put pen to paper yet. I would not count her out on a WWE return.
Exactly. So, again, Royal Rumble coming around the corner. WrestleMania season pretty much here. So, it's going to be a really fun few months and a great year. I can already tell in wrestling. AEW is starting to pick up some momentum. TNA is just around the corner. I'm going to check them out. Again, great time to be a wrestling fan.
Sorry to cut you off, but did you see that TNA is now calling their events premium live events?
Oh. Are they
There's rumors that WWE and TNA could be working together.
Wait, hold on.
What if that's the news?
I was going to say that.
Hold on, I got to check Twitter. Did we miss something huge?
While you check that, go ahead. I was just going to plug Main Event Wrestling Network again. Plugged it at the beginning of the show, but again, we have merch. We have the Main Event Wrestling Network logo on a black tee. Still working on some new merch for that. As well. But again, if you have any content creators, if you are a content creator, an editor, anything in the digital media, reach out to one of us. We'll gladly take you under the wing. And that's about it. We're looking to grow everybody's audience.
That is the main goal here at the Main Event Wrestling Network. And obviously, check out the Turnbuckle Talk Zone. Also a part of the Main Event Wrestling Network. Been kind of quiet on their end. I haven't really heard much from Robbie. I know Robbie was starting up a football podcast, so maybe he's devoting more of his time there, but I would like to see Robbie back. I kind of miss the guy. I feel like we haven't talked to him in a couple weeks.
I think he's really stabbing his best friend Kine in the back. It's kind of weird. Wow. Actually, it's all adding up. Kine is now calling us friends of his.
Is Kine the new babyface? So Ian turned face, Kine turned face, and I'm still a dick. Wow, this OTM is going to be
no. I was going to say, House of Gags is still alive.
The house always wins, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I got to say. So thanks, everybody, for watching live, and thank you for listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.